When most people think of a firearm, they think of something like this, or this. But in Delaware, a firearm could also be this, or even this. That's because Delaware, unlike 49 other states in the federal government, doesn't define a firearm in the traditional way you might think of a firearm, which is that thing that goes bang when you pull the trigger. Instead, Delaware law sort of defines a firearm as anything that fires anything through chemical, compressed air, or mechanical means. This creates some problems because it encompasses a whole lot of other technologies that you and I don't usually think of as firearms, and that 49 other states in the federal government don't think of as firearms. Allow me to provide you with a couple of examples of why this could be problematic. For one, because Delaware's definition of firearm includes basically anything that fires anything, the gun control laws that we've done over the last few years, for good or bad, have oftentimes encompassed things that us legislators didn't really intend for them to encompass. The other concern we have is with persons prohibited from owning a firearm. Delaware has done an awful lot of work over the last few years of cutting down on recidivism by providing jobs that are appropriate, such as construction jobs. But the definition of firearm in Delaware code says that a lot of the tools commonly used on construction sites are technically firearms. Well, wait a minute. So now we have people who are working construction sites who are persons prohibited from owning a firearm that we've encouraged to work at construction sites are now working with firearms. Not in the traditional sense, not in the sense that 49 other states in the federal government have defined firearms, but in the way Delaware, uniquely outlined from the rest of the nation, has defined firearms. Currently, the Department of Justice is operating under a trust us, we won't misuse this section of code kind of modus operandi. And that's problematic because we don't know who the Attorney General is going to be in perpetuity. So really what we need to do is we need to shore up the definition of firearm, again, as the rest of the country has, but we also need to continue to allow the Department of Justice to pursue crime and criminals who use objects in ways that are inappropriate. It's one of the reasons why this bill actually includes a new definition of items called projectile weapons. In the projectile weapon definition, what we're saying is that there is a firearm is a firearm is a firearm. But in addition, we have these other things that can fire something that could cause lethal harm at a certain amount of distance. And that those things can be used and can be as intimidating to a victim as a firearm. And so if you're a person prohibited from owning a firearm, you will also be a person prohibited from owning a projectile weapon. If you rob a place with a projectile weapon, you will get a charge that is utilizing a firearm or projectile weapon during the commission of a crime. This allows the DOJ to continue to operate as the state's prosecutors to go after criminals for doing certain things, but removes ambiguity as to what item they're using. This was a long process. Delaware's definition of firearm as an outlier has been in place for decades. We're correcting a wrong that happened in the 1980s. So, I encourage my colleagues to vote in favor of this bill. This strengthens law enforcement, it strengthens the Department of Justice, it removes ambiguity from the law, and it creates a situation in which we 62 legislators don't accidentally pass something for an item that we don't mean to regulate. Thank you.